It's time to add to our rainbow scrap quilt. What color did my guild choose, and what block will be selected from the mix and match book? Stay tuned to find out. So step one is to roll the die. And we get lucky number 4. Get things lined up correctly. 2, 4, 6. So we have 6 choices, and I chose number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jewel box. Fun block. And then we'll turn to that page, see what our fabric choices are. This is a really nice block, and actually I quilted a jewel box quilt many years ago, and it was just gorgeous in batiks. So let's find a light, medium, and dark and make this block. This month's color chosen from my guild is teal. Now, teal is one of those funny colors, almost turquoise, that you can find a huge variation in what people will call teal. But I had this collection of fat quarters on my shelf, and that fits my definition of teal. I love teals. Obviously, anything in the blue family, and teal is kind of that blue-green shade. It just calls to me. It's so calming, and I love how dramatic it looks with that black. So this will be a fun group of fabrics to use in the jewel box block. Okay, so before I can use the AccuQuilt, I need to get my fabric pieces trimmed to a size that'll fit over the die. So I'm just going to layer these all together, give myself a straight edge, and then cut some strips that according to the size in the pattern. So I'm using the Mix and Match blocks book that came with my AccuQuilt Qube. And then I can put the fabrics aside and just use my strips. So I'm going to use the little teal dots as my center chain. The black is actually going to be the background, so that's the light that I need. And then the graphic print here will be the corner fabrics. So I know I'm going to need, actually I need 2 of the darks, since that'll be paired with both the other fabrics. So I'll layer that, and then 1 here. And it doesn't seem very efficient when you're cutting for just one block with the AccuQuilt, but you know, if you were making a whole quilt, you could get these pieces cut really quickly. So we have the base of our machine and my cube. I need pieces 2 and 3, so I can just pull that part out of my cube. So 2 is the squares, and obviously I could have cut squares without the die, but they have the 4-inch half square triangles that we're going to use today that will be really nice and easy, and they give you a little mat that fits on top of that die. So let's set all that stuff out of the way, and I said these are going to be my half square triangles, so we'll just cover that block like that. Put the mat on top and then run it through. Quick and easy, and we have our half square triangles. And I could have even layered those so they were ready to sew as I took them off the die. And they always have you cut a little bit oversized, so you do end up with a little bit of scraps, but so the trimming after this step is minimal because you were so accurate on the cutting step. Guess we were. Those are rectangles. I had the wrong die in my box. It's supposed to be square. There's the... Okay, back in action with my correct die. You always need to put things back in their proper place. And so I've done that and I've gotten my squares that I need for this pattern. Okay, here we go. Now I have the squares to make my 4 patches. 4. Beautiful. Let's go to the sewing machine. The dies are numbered here on the side, so double check that you get the right die back in the right position on its cube, and then you won't have the problems that I did. Okay, we are going to start with our 4 patches, which are quick and easy, and then we have our half square triangles in the opposite corners to make this block. So I can just sew down one side of my squares. And then I will finger press my 4 patch. You always want to press towards the same fabric. I'm going to the dark. And then you just turn so that you have matching fabrics on the diagonal. And I can butt those seams since they're pressed to the dark. Nest the seams and pin right along my seam so I get a nice crisp corner in my 4 patch. And then I can continue chain piecing with my half square triangles. And I have a special tool, a pressing wedge, and I am going to spin my seams on my 4 patches, and then I'm going to use this pressing wedge instead of my fingernails to finger press those blocks. And just having that little bit extra weight makes those seams lay down nice and flat when I don't want to get up to the iron. And there I have my 4 patch blocks. And my half square triangles. Making a really cool block, unusual with the dark background. So on this one, I'm going to actually put the half square triangle on the bottom, and then I can make sure my seams do not flip as I put that seam under the needle. So again, I'm keeping the half square triangle on the bottom and sewing my rows together. I like to lay everything out, make sure I keep my fabrics in the same direction. And one final seam for this jewel box block. Kind of a tongue twister. But it's so much fun to make scrappy projects with classic quilt blocks that are easy to cut with the AccuQuilt Qube. Ta-da! There is our teal jewel box for the Rainbow Scrap Challenge. And this is an easy project to do with your guild. Just put some colors in a random selection method, whether you draw them out of a hat or use an online selection spinner tool. You can have a lot of fun, and it's so much fun to see how everyone in the guild interprets those colors. And having the block choice left up to the individual makes it really fun. All the blocks I've made so far, we've got our teal jewel box. I had a framed 4-patch in magenta and double pinwheel in amber. And the first block was called Depression, but I'm very happy with those blues. I'm thrilled with my jewel box in teal, and I hope that you continue this Rainbow Scrap Challenge with me. If you're looking for more scrappy quilt blocks and what to do with your leftovers, check out this video next.